everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Lunacy with Colleen Marie. It's an astrological look at the week ahead, and for those of you who have been following this programming every Friday at noon, last week I kind of needed a mental health day, and honestly, I blame it on the intense Mercury retrograde we just went through and are going through still, but it is almost over. We can taste the end of that lovely, lovely time. So we do have that to look forward to this week. Um, and we'll get into that in a moment. But first and foremost, as you guys know, this is an astrological look at the week ahead. We call it Lunacy because we focus on the movement of the moon. The moon changes signs every few days, but it really does color our experience, especially when it comes to our innermost emotions and what makes us feel nurtured and safe in those days. So it's important to kind of be aware of what's the moon doing. It's also great to be aware of how it interacts with all the other planets because there's just so much to learn about. And I don't know about you, but especially after this crazy year we just had, a lot of people have reached out to me saying that they're much more open to the ideas of astrology and spirituality in general and these types of universal energies that really do connect us all. And that's really my intention for this, is to give us a chance to kind of look deeper at our own experiences, to see how the themes that the planets represent, how they all relate to our day-to-day lives. If you ever want some more insight into your specific chart and how these energies manifest for you in your life, you can always reach out to me. My website is colleenmariehealing.com, and you can head over there and get in touch with me, shoot me an email, talk about what we could do together and how we can work together. Let's go ahead and jump in. So we head into the weekend with Luna, the moon, going into peace-loving Libra. So this is a great time for relationships, and not just your love partnerships, but also any one-on-one relationships that you're focused on at this time in your life. And really will be both parties are going to be feeling a little bit more accommodating and compassionate during this time. And this might not be the time to assert yourself forcefully. So if you feel like there's certain relationships where you really need to create boundaries, Libra moon isn't necessarily going to be that easy to do during this time. But during, say it was moon in Aries in a few weeks, that would be the time to do that. So shopping for a new look, redecorating your home, maybe getting your hair done, things like that are all highly advantageous today and tomorrow with the moon in Libra. And one thing, because I was not able to go live last week, I didn't get to talk about an important aspect that we're still kind of living under. And it actually is one of the most profound of all of 2021. And that, of course, is the Saturn-Uranus square that we are experiencing, right now. It was in a direct connection on last Monday and Tuesday, I believe it was. It was on the 14th. And we're still feeling this regardless. So what does it mean, the Saturn-Uranus square? Well, Saturn is the planet of constrictive, sort of more repressed feelings, conventionality, structure, hard work. Saturn's kind of the father of the zodiac. So it's those high expectations that we have for ourselves that force us to be disciplined and work hard, which is a wonderful thing. But sometimes they can get a little bit stuck in the past and also stuck in the patriarchy, right? Meanwhile, we have the planet of Uranus, which is all about freedom, transformation, rebellion, sudden changes, breaking free of that restrictive Saturn ruling. So when we have a square between these two planets, that tension is going to dominate this year on a global scale as well as personally. And we were just last week at that point where the two are in perfect square with each other. So that was kind of the height of the tension. And I think that if you pay attention to what's going on globally, we're seeing issues around, race and class and gender, sexuality. We're also seeing severe weather patterns. These are all part of that type of breaking out of a, structured thing and into some more rebelliousness. I think about the heat wave that's happening down in Arizona right now, and how the grid of course is Saturn, because it's this, structure that we have, and how this sudden unpredictable heat wave we're having, that would be Uranus, is interacting with the grid of, the energy grid there. So how is that all related? Well, that is that Saturn Uranus square we're experiencing right now. So, just a heads up, I teach a lot that to move away from Saturn and move towards Uranus is a big part of our transformation and our growth in this lifetime. So, I'm a big believer that, the more that we kind of let our rebellious side out, the healthier we're going to feel. I do believe that Uranus is a little bit of a higher vibration than Saturn. So, how this plays out for you. Are you going to be willing to change with the times, with the things that come up? Or are you going to find yourself wanting to kind of backtrack and cling to what you're used to, what's comfortable? That's a big theme for this year. So, something to be aware of. All right, so moving on Sunday, the sun enters Cancer. So, hello, Cancer season. I have so many lovely Cancers in my life, including my darling husband and my dad and my brother. Just boom, 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 right at the beginning of Cancer season. One of my good friends, Brittany. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful Cancers in the world, and I personally am Cancer rising, which I'll be honest, I love my Cancer friends and especially Cancer men, but they can be a little bit difficult. And why is that? Well, Cancer is a water sign. And as such, it's very emotional. It's also a cardinal sign, meaning that it wants to do something with its emotions. So a Cancer person isn't just going to sit back and be emotional as maybe like a Pisces would, or Scorpio would just completely ignore, other people's needs and just focus on their own emotional reality. But a Cancer wants to do something with their emotions. They want to act as mothers. They want to put themselves out there and check on other people, see how they're doing. They're very nurturing, but it can also make them very sensitive and very quick to kind of, you know, overreact to things at times. So there's a lot of, you know, watery energy this season. Cancer's mascot is the crab. Inside of a crab, it's tender and juicy and sweet, but the outside is a hard shell of, claws and really wanting to put a wall up around themselves. Oh, thank you. So this is really where we have to ask ourselves to watch for oversensitivity, watch throughout this month, a desire to play the mother and over nurture, or completely put that wall up or shell up around ourselves. But the beautiful thing is, Cancer season is also a really wonderful time to spend in and around water and with the people you love, connecting with them, merging with them, checking on their needs. That is absolutely part of the process, and that's a beautiful thing. So, this weekend, the theme of water is even stronger because the moon is in Scorpio, a fixed water sign. Scorpio moon can be emotionally intense. So, this can either be overwhelming or cathartic, and you can decide how you'd like to interact with that. So on Sunday, the moon is square Mars, which says to me that you might be a little bit more high strung than otherwise. So check your temper, check your rash reactions emotionally, and just know this too shall pass. and the moon will be moving into a new sign soon. So that is, this is Sunday and Monday, the moon is in Scorpio. Now, the other thing that's happening on Sunday is Jupiter is going retrograde. So we talked a minute ago about how Mercury has been retrograde for a few days. And sorry, my baby's kicking. So Jupiter retrograde is not as strong as Mercury retrograde. What does it mean retrograde anyways, if you don't know? It just simply means that it appears that the planet is moving backwards in the sky during that time. And the thing is, of course, it isn't actually doing that. It's just from our vantage point on Earth. So Mercury, when it goes retrograde, because it moves so quickly and it's a inner, it's a personality planet. It's a fast moving planet. We tend to feel Mercury retrograde strongly. And if you've experienced anything in the past couple weeks, probably had something to do with Mercury retrograde. Jupiter takes a little bit longer to transit. It's not going to be as intense of an experience, but it's still going to have an effect. Jupiter retrograde right now is taking our normal focus of kind of external concerns, things like new opportunities in business and money, and having a chance to kind of put ourselves out there, put ourselves up on a pedestal, be in the limelight, travel. That's all what Jupiter is typically concerned about. But now we're looking at Jupiter going inward, and that's what retrograding does. So now you might be finding yourself being a little bit more introspective about your spirituality, about your emotions, about your higher mind, your personal philosophy, and maybe your travel is more internal than external during this time. Jupiter is also in Pisces going retrograde, and Pisces is a very spiritual sign. So that just emphasizes this really big focus that you're going to see right now on unconditional love and spirituality. And it's funny, I've been approached by a few people lately who have told me that they've never really believed in this kind of thing. And lately they are more open. And I think that speaks to this Jupiter and Pisces, because Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and it's bringing in this new awareness of spirituality and connection to collective consciousness. And we're all awakening. It's a beautiful thing to watch if you're looking for it. If you're not, it's easy to get caught up in all the things that aren't working in our world right now. So it's just really bringing about more introspection, curiosity, about what it means to be human and what it means to be a spiritual being having a human experience. So on Monday, we see Venus coming into a beautiful trine with Neptune. What does that mean? Well, we see this theme play out in our relationships. So maybe noticing that we feel particularly spiritually connected to our partners or other people in our lives that we love. And this is really a great day to love on others and remind them how much their presence in our lives means to us. All of that is so, so, so important right now. And that is Monday. And then on Tuesday, the moon moves into freedom-loving Sagittarius. And dun, 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 Mercury goes direct, finally. So any of these projects that have felt stymied or stopped, or any communication issues that you might be having right now, all of those things are going to start to be a lot more, they're going to start moving forward again, and that's going to feel good. But we're still going to be in the shadow period for a couple days. So if you're somebody who feels like, oh, there's still so much from my past that I really want to come to, come to a place of peace with, this coming week is really the time to revisit those, because that's what Mercury retrograde, the benefit of it, allows us to revisit things from the past that were not finished. So go ahead and check in and see, what are the messages that have been coming through to you the past couple weeks? What have been the themes of what you've been going through? And how can you finish kind of tying up those loose ends so you can go into, when Mercury stations direct and gets out of its shadow, that it'll start to flow again. And that is coming. So yay. So Wednesday, we see the moon comes into a trine with Jupiter, and that's really a lucky star day. So even in when it's retrograde, Jupiter still brings in gifts and luck and, beneficial things. So, keep a lookout for that. Meanwhile, we also see now that Venus is opposite Pluto. So those same relationships that we were just saying to tell them how much they mean to you and to love on each other, this is a really good time. Pluto might bring up some of the unprocessed emotions, some of the repressed things that you and this person need to deal with. So Wednesday is a really good time to bring that up. And meanwhile, though, Venus doesn't necessarily want to rock the boat, but this tells me that, it will kind of flow. And so, yeah, Wednesday's a good time to kind of bring up those things. As long as you do it in a peaceful way and in a loving way, you'll be able to move through some of those deeper emotions with those you love. And finally, on Thursday, June 24th, we have a full moon in Capricorn. Now, I am a Capricorn moon, Cancer rising. So as we were talking a moment about, how this Cancer season is all about nurturing and motherly love for each other, and maybe even a little psychic awareness. But overall, it's a very emotional time this month. The Capricorn full moon is completely the opposite. Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, the father of the zodiac, conventionality, high expectations for yourself. So in my natal chart, I have this dynamic every day that I deal with, where part of me has really high expectations for myself in business and in general. And then there's this other side of myself that wants to be very maternal and loving. And to reconcile the two is not always easy, but that's one of the beautiful journeys that I get to unfold karmically in this particular incarnation. So for the sake of everyone right now, even if you don't have those placements in your natal chart, you're going to feel a little bit of this desire to really take yourself seriously during this full moon. When it's expressed positively, it brings in this renewed ambition, focus on long-term goals, and a sense of maturity in the emotional realm. Of course, if we choose not to work with the full moon and fight that energy, we might find negatively, we might take ourselves too seriously, or have these really unattainable expectations for ourselves and be too hard on ourselves. Or conversely, we might retreat into irrationality and the neediness of Cancer and just say, I'd rather not step into my power and my capabilities. So this is the question right now as we head into, this week moving into the full moon. What are we manifesting? What are we creating? Is it something that honors our power as well as our emotionality? Or is it one or the other? And learning how to find the balance between the two is the theme of this month. So good luck with that, all of you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. How this full moon affects you is going to be different based on what your personal chart is. And if you ever want information on how you can get your chart read, please reach out. My email is colleenmariehealing@gmail.com, or you head over to my website, colleenmariehealing.com. And I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and the stars are always on your side.